If somebody had told me over 240 days ago that I would never eat candy again, I would have called them a dirty liar, straight to their face. It just seems unimaginable. I am constantly surrounded by candy and pastries and baked goods when I go to work. Well, I am an all or nothing type person. I'm an abstainer. I'm, very extreme of changing my diet, that it is restrictive, but that works so well for me. I am it's this or it's that. There is no in between for me. Starting in the middle of January, I stopped eating carbs, fruit, sugar, especially vegetables that I don't like, nuts, seeds, and only ate ground beef and butter, eggs, bacon, some cheese. In the beginning, I was eating cheese and bacon, and that's what I started eating immediately. Cold turkey. I stopped drinking red wine. I stopped drinking completely. I didn't just go down the rabbit hole. I jumped in because I was tired of feeling overweight, fatigued, depressed, with high anxiety. I was just so tired of all of these things ruling my life. And I was overweight. So I was actually dieting at the time, but I was eating a lot of nuts and seeds, and I was eating very little fatty red meat protein. I was eating eggs and chicken occasionally, but rarely did I eat ground beef because I didn't like it, which is actually the reason that most of my friends and family that I talk to, they almost always say, oh, I don't even like meat that much. And I understand why now. I think it's because our palates are, after eating, processed foods and carbs, I know that those foods change our satiety messaging in our brain and our hunger cues and all those things. So most people I know don't even like meat that much. It's certainly not fatty ribeyes. When I am out and I'm around food that triggers me or used to trigger me, it doesn't affect me the same way anymore because I'm no longer as emotionally attached to food as I was 8 months ago. But I still have some issues with wanting to eat certain foods because I am having basically what I call FOMO. It's like I'm missing out. And when I am with friends and family, because my husband is the only one that eats this way, none of our friends or family eat this way. And so when I'm in family situations or in stressful situations or just in uncomfortable situations, I still do have a little bit of that trigger that wants to push me to food or, wine, that kind of thing. So there's still something in there that's happening to me. But so far, it's September 2023. I have made it through Valentine's Day, birthdays, Easter, candy heavy Easter. That one, I remember smelling some of that food and the candy and thinking, okay, I had to walk out of the room. Weddings, vacation, beach vacation, and different social events. So now I have a better track record and I can move forward. We don't keep very much candy in the house. We don't keep tons of snacks in the house. So I can control my environment. We have some snacks, but I never think about eating candy at home. And I don't ever think about eating candy at work when I'm around it all the time. I got used to that immediately from the get-go. Occasionally I do have trouble. I've had to walk out of an ice cream shop on vacation because it was going to be a little too much for me. So I left. So I still have a little bit of emotional attachment to foods. Scents are very strong and can trigger a lot of emotions, and that's still something that happens to me. I still struggle with that some. My background is that I started living with chronic illness 25 years ago. Shortly after turning 23, I was diagnosed with my first autoimmune illness called Meniere's disease. I lived with the chronic illness for the next 16 years. I underwent multiple treatments. None of that worked for me. None of the surgical treatments worked. And after living with debilitating vertigo for many, many years, I finally had just reached my limit, and I went to a specialist and I told them that I needed them to do the most invasive surgical treatment they could, and that was to drill out my inner ear to where I wouldn't have any balance system on this side, and nor would I have any hearing at all on that side. But I was willing to do that because I felt like I couldn't live that way any longer. I was at my sickest and just at my wit's end. If somebody had told me to only eat meat, I would have done it. Absolutely. I would have done anything. In fact, I did. I ended up having major invasive surgery that changed my life forever at the age of 38. I just think it's so important to get the message out that what you eat can heal your body. And if you are suffering from chronic illness, autoimmune illness, if you could just try, an animal-based diet, heavy on the fatty red meat, try it for 30 days and see if it helps. It's not going to hurt. Just give it, try it for 14 days the way I did. Just do it for 2 weeks and see what happens. Because what I have found is that most people keep going, especially if they're chronically ill, overweight, obese, diabetic. You can heal your body. And that's the purpose of my channel, is to let people know, especially if they're struggling and living with chronic illness, if you try this, it might make you feel better. It made me feel better. It has worked to heal me. And I have several autoimmune issues. I've had meningitis, I've had mono, I have, Meniere's disease. They all start with M. What's that? I have Graves' disease. When I was 30, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is a thyroid issue. I had that treated, not by diet, not by what I was eating, of course. I treated it with radioactive iodine, which is a pill that you take. And so now my thyroid doesn't function properly, and I have to take a replacement thyroid medicine for the rest of my life. And that was 18 years ago. I have rosacea. I have other autoimmune illnesses. I have uveitis occasionally that flares up, which is possibly what I think linked to autoimmune illness. My suggestion would be to start eliminating some processed food, highly processed food, seed oils, and start eating some fatty red meat. Eat some hamburgers. It can be hamburgers. It doesn't have to be a fatty ribeye. If you can't afford ribeye, eat some bacon and eggs. Just try it. And it could change your life the way it changed my life. This is not medical advice. This is just what worked for me. I am not a doctor. I am not a health provider. I am not a health professional. I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just giving you advice from a woman that has lived with chronic autoimmune illnesses for like 25 years. And this is the best I've felt since I was that 23-year-old girl a month before she got diagnosed with Meniere's disease. Thanks for watching all this whole video. I'll see you on the next one.